But we begin this hour with a look back to 10 years ago this week. As Senator Ted Cruz, then a 2016 Republican presidential candidate, won the Iowa Republican caucus, defeating Donald Trump and the other Republican candidates. As you may remember, Trump didn't take that defeat very well.
Yesterday, Donald Trump tweeted, "Ted Cruz didn't win Iowa, he stole it. That is why all the polls were so wrong and why he got far more votes than anticipated. Bad." And based on the fraud committed by Senator Cruz during the Iowa caucus, either a new election should take place or Cruz results nullified.
Now, the guy that came in second, but actually I think I came in first, because if you take a look, okay, you know. Oh, that voter fraud. You know, these politicians are brutal.
And thus began Trump's decade-long obsession to claim any election he lost that was due to cheating and voter fraud. The problem now is that with Trump sitting behind the Resolute desk, he has been bestowed with the full weight and powers of the U.S. government, along with a loyal following of election-denying Republican election administrators in states across the country. And Trump seems to be trying to wield those powers to avoid what's being predicted to be a big upcoming midterm election loss for the Republicans. Trump's predicted that himself. The administration is requesting voter rolls from nearly every state, and he's calling to nationalize the midterm elections. Trump's director of national intelligence was dispatched to join an FBI raid on an election center in Georgia. The White House is pushing Congress to pass an election bill that could easily disenfranchise millions of voters. That bill, the SAVE Act, is expected to come up for a vote this week in the House. Joining us now to break all of this down, Democratic Congresswoman Madeleine Dean of Pennsylvania. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us this morning.
Good to be with you.
Obviously, when you take in conjunction all of the different news cycles as it regards to voting, it seems like Republicans are intensifying their push to at least disseminate misinformation around our upcoming elections. Are you genuinely concerned about election interference in 2026, or do you think this is a rhetorical tactic to try to prime voters ahead of a midterm election that Trump and Republicans believe they're going to lose?
It is a clear sign that Mr. Trump knows he's about to lose in a massive way. And I do take seriously that which he says when he talks about nationalizing elections. When he goes into Georgia and seizes the votes from 2020 just recently, I take it very seriously. DOJ sent a letter to Pennsylvania, for example. We know we're going to be the Keystone State again. DOJ asked for our unredacted voter rolls. Governor Shapiro and the State Department will not be offering them those rolls. And just to tell you of their incompetence, when they wrote to us, they said, we'd like the voter records for your 66 counties. Pennsylvania has 67. Are they trying to not count one of them?
Congresswoman, you know, I want to play some sound from the Speaker of the House and get your reaction on the other side. This was on Tuesday at Capitol Hill.
We had 3 House Republican candidates who were ahead on Election Day in the last election cycle. And every time a new tranche of ballots came in, they just magically whittled away until their leads were lost. In no series of ballots that were counted after Election Day were our candidates ahead on any of those counts. It looks on its face to be fraudulent. Can I prove that? No, because it happened so far upstream. But we need more confidence in the American people in the election system.
Can I prove that? No. The Speaker of the House throwing out unsubstantiated BS about how the elections in this country are run. I think people might be surprised by that, but if people pay attention to what happened in 2020, Mike Johnson has been one of the folks who has been spreading these lies since 2020. So this shouldn't be a surprise to people. But what do you think it says that now that he is on the mantle of Speaker of the House, that he continues to do this, continues to sow doubt in the free and fair elections of this country?
Well, this is incredibly consistent for Mike Johnson. I remember when I was a freshman member of Judiciary, he would sit on our dais, as we all do, asking questions, whether it was FBI or ATF, or anything having to do with elections in addition, and just lie and offer misinformation and then tear down ATF, FBI, the people who work there, and then decry the fact that people have lost confidence, whether it is in our agencies or in our elections. This has been going on by this man and many others for the 8 years that I have been a member of Congress. The other nonsense of that, and then this just magically happens. This has been tested. People actually know how this happens. It is the mail-in ballots that need to be counted that change the election results from the in-person elections. Mike Johnson knows this. I'll never forget being on the floor of the House shortly after January 6th, and Mike Johnson, with me and a couple of other members, was touting his amicus brief. I said, we just had an insurrection over what was allegedly a stolen election. You've been in court. The president has been in court. In Pennsylvania, more than 60 cases. Josh Shapiro, then Attorney General, was uniquely successful in pushing back on. He's been pushing this lie for a very long time. It is dismaying and it is very hurtful. But in Pennsylvania, we'll be ready.
And I'd like to remind people that a lot of the mail-in ballots that come in into this country for any of these elections often come from veterans who are serving overseas.
Congresswoman, in 2024, right before the presidential election, then candidate Donald Trump suggested that potentially the National Guard or troops should go to polling locations on Election Day. That was 2024. He is now the president here in 2026. Have you, with other colleagues on Capitol Hill, gamed out how you potentially see this playing out over the next 10 months? And if that were to happen, for instance, or ICE agents were to be deployed to polling locations, how Democratic lawmakers would effectively respond?
It is something we are planning for. And as I said, I'm going to be seeing Josh Shapiro later today at State Committee in Harrisburg. Our state is planning for that. We will do everything in our power, use the courts, of course, to keep from doing what the president is trying to do, which is intimidate voters from coming to vote. We're not going to allow that to happen. We are in planning discussions. We've got smart lawyers working on it. So absolutely, yes.
Congresswoman, I want to play for you what the president said yesterday about this racist video that he posted. This was on Air Force One last night.
Mr. President, a number of Republicans are calling on you to apologize for that post. Is that something you're going to do?
No, I didn't make a mistake. I mean, I look at a lot of thousands of things, and I looked at the beginning of it. It was fine. They had that one post, and I guess it was a takeoff. By the way, a lot of people covered. If you look at where it came from, I guess it was a takeoff on The Lion King, and certainly it was a very strong post in terms of voter fraud. Nobody knew that was at the end. If they would have looked, they would have seen it, and probably they would have had the sense to take it down.
Congresswoman, this is an example of who Donald Trump is for a very long time. And I wonder, you've been watching Donald Trump as long as we all have, seen the kind of racist things that he has said. Do you believe that Donald Trump is a racist?
I guess it's not up to me to believe it. He exhibits it every single day. And in his actions, in his official actions, before he spoke about nationalizing elections, what I have seen through the ICE program is he's nationalizing racism. He's nationalizing bigotry. He's nationalizing othering. That's what he is at his core. That's what he's doing. But I call upon the people around him, the people right in that little door jam on Air Force One. When are you going to call it out? When are you going to say the emperor has no clothes? When are you going to show that you understand that he is unhinged, unwell, lawless, corrupt, and bigoted beyond belief? And this is our president of the United States. I call upon those surrounding him and Republicans in the House and Senate to put a stop to this. We're at an important point in our history. They need to put a stop to it.
And that was Howard Lutnick, our U.S. Secretary of Commerce, who was standing behind Trump on Air Force One and smiling.
Also,
Congresswoman,
mentioned in Epstein and with conflicting information.
Congresswoman Madeleine Dean, thank you so much, as always.
Thank you. Have a good day.